Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff is alongside me. It's Friday. Barry Ferguson and Tam McManus are with me here. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us. There is lots to talk about. Our special guest is celebrating his birthday today. It's former Celtic and Scotland goalkeeper Rab Douglas, who is also looking back on a very special day for him 17 years ago this very day. We'll also be discussing the SPFL. We've got a tribute to Sandy Jabin, who sadly passed away 6 years ago this very day. And over and above that, we'll look at the final four Scottish defenders, final four foreign defenders in our poll that you've been voting on. So welcome along, live on YouTube, live on Facebook. Thank you very much for joining us. Here's our quiz question today. So many people will get the answer to that one. I have to say hi to Willie Gibson, who says, good to see the lads, William, on YouTube. Thank you very much for supporting us. Paul Baird, hello from Korea, South Derry. Good to have you on board, Paul. And also Abu Dhabi, Bob White and Dean Leslie, as well as Torquemada and James Alexander. Lots of people following us from near and far, and there's lots to talk about. But can I just at this moment start us off now that we've had the quiz to tell you about the window now closed for Barry's top. And it's been an emotional time because, Barry, it was no easy decision for you to get rid of one of your favourite tops framed with the armband, with the cap, to commemorate defeating France in the Parc des Princes in 2007.
Yeah, Peter, listen, it's a special top that's got great memories for me, great victory. I love playing in that Scotland team. You just seen the sort of togetherness we had, and that's one of the reasons why we got that result over in France, because they were an unbelievable team. But listen, what it's went for, it's just amazing. And as I said a couple of times in the show this week, I've been taken aback for what the NHS have been doing. Real inspirational people in the front line. So listen, great money raised, and it's going to a proper cause for me.
Yeah, well done, Barry. I don't know if you, I don't know if you watched. Well, thanks to Tam, Roughie. Oh, Roughie's joined in and says well done as well. Eventually, okay. He will say eventually well done with his microphone near his mouth, Barry. Honestly, but I have to say to you, Barry. The one thing I would say, and I think this is something that's got to be highlighted, Barry, there was lots of people, lots of young guys and young girls bidding, £100, it's the most I've got. Greg, maybe £200, people bidding £750. There were a number of people who obviously said, look, we're just going to donate to the NHS Scotland anyway, inspired by the lovely gesture that you made. But the one thing that caught me here was, two people in particular who made huge bids. I want to thank, first of all, Michael in Egypt, who bid £10,689. I think that's the capacity of St Johnstone, Tam McManus. So he's a big Saints fan, and he bid that amount of money, which I thought was a brilliant gesture. He's in Egypt. So, Michael, thank you. What a bid that was, Tam.
Yeah, brilliant. As I say, that's massive money, and for it to go for 25 grand is amazing. I'm just wondering when Barry is going to actually give them the original or the one he's got stuffed away that he actually wore that night. Is he giving them the second jersey?
Listen, never do it like that. I can tell you that's the original. Yeah. Don't you worry.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely. And for all the people, don't forget next. What a chance to bid a £5 for the Falkirk top that Tam's got on. This is the original one, by the way. By the way, if you start wearing a jersey every day you're on the show with the club shoe playing for, you could be here till mid-January next year. By the way. Anyway, so Michael bid. Yeah.
This one still got the tag on it. I never get much again at Falkirk, so it's still got the secret.
Brilliant. So Michael in Egypt, well done to you, Michael, for that bid. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic, but it was absolutely blown out of the water by Brian, who'd been on the case from early on. Brian actually has met you, Barry, but as ever, you meet thousands upon thousands of people saying hello to you, wanting their photograph with you. Brian has actually met you before, and he's bid 25,000, which is the winning bid. £25,000 is brilliant. But over and above that, he did mention that he was going to throw in the extra money because he spotted Darren on the show on Tuesday. So Darren obviously was so keen to make sure that the whole thing was about the shirt that you'd initially thrown in there, that he threw in at the back of this for Brian a cap that he was given in a frame, which is Scotland against Austria. There it's there. And it was presented to Darren because obviously this was the game where Scotland won it and qualified for our last major finals in the World Cup in France in '98. So I think it's a great gesture by Darren to throw that in for Brian as well. And that makes it 25,000, Barry. So brilliant.
Oh, as I said, Peter, I'm taken aback, but it's a good gesture from Jacko. Jacko had texted me and said that he didn't want to step in the toes, obviously, with the jersey. But listen, the more it raises for that wonderful cause, I wasn't interested. 25,000, it's going to a great cause. So I can't wait to hand over the cheque to the NHS Scotland, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only will we hand over the cheque, Roughie, but I think it's only right and proper that we tell Brian, who'll be watching the show, that I think once we hand over the cheque, get the photograph, hopefully with Brian there, and the frame, we can send it out to him, but I would hope that Barry will be able to hand it over to him in person. We should all go out for a meal with Brian. Is that feasible for you guys?
Oh, that'd be absolutely magnificent. Yeah, it'd be superb. Obviously, where Brian's staying. Where is it he's staying again?
Well, shut it. He's staying in Italy. He's coming home, though. Trust you. Anyway, so we'll all go out for a meal with Brian. Really looking forward to that in June 2027. So that'll be fantastic by the time we get out of this madness. Anyway, over and above that, somebody's just sent us a wee message here, and I might as well say it. Willie Gibson says, Peter, I've got a bone to pick with you. At the John Hartson Foundation dinner, I was at the back table and I won a prize, and you slaughtered me as I came up to win the prize. I mean, Tam, does he not get the drill by now? You win a raffle, you get caned.
You absolutely roasted me at Roughie's. You'd have a wee look at you came into my you'd have a wee look at my table and look at my numbers and come over, and then it was honestly hook, line, and sinker. I got absolutely my face was beetroot.
That was brilliant.
It's the oldest trick. It's the oldest trick in the book, Roughie. Basically, I'd walked past his table. I had a look at all the raffle tickets that he had, and I thought, okay, I'll call this out. He's walked up, and I've turned around and went, "It's not your number." And the long walk back, Roughie, and the shameful walk back was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was absolutely magnificent.
To be fair, Tam, you had about 10 beers by that time, so
I wasn't bothered.
Absolutely. And thankfully, Tam, you didn't even take the prize. You handed back Scary Spices knickers, which Roughie has still got at the moment. We're still waiting for them to be auctioned. Anyway, so thanks to everyone who's messaging us on not only on Facebook, but of course on the YouTube channel as well. Okay. Lots to talk about, guys. Lots to look forward to on this programme today. And I'll read out as many messages as I possibly can. Now that we've got the official bid closed, let's look at the release from Deloitte. Now, this is interesting because, quite simply, everybody was waiting. Everybody was wondering what was going to happen with this independent investigation. And basically, an open letter has been sent to all the clubs, the media, and supporters of Scottish clubs. This has come out in the last couple of hours. And it's basically the reaction to the calls for Neil Doncaster and legal counsel Rod Mackenzie calling for the suspension. This has come from Rangers. So this is the reply from the SPFL on this one. And it's obviously on the questions raised due to the events of Friday 10th of April when Dundee attempted to return a voting slip to the SPFL in connection with the resolution. Now, in order to ensure completely probity and independence during this process, Deloitte LLP actually were given the role of independent investigator in this, and the non-executive director who was given the task of going in and investigating this was Karen McCluskey. She's over 23 years experience in the police force and is a non-executive director on the SPFL. Now, they go through a timetable of events and what correspondence had gone from the SPFL to all the clubs, and over and above that, the details of Dundee and their alleged vote that didn't get there, and then the call that came in from them to state that that was not going to be their vote. They were going to eventually vote yes. So after she's investigated all the timeline, and I don't want to go through the timeline because it will be so evident to you on all the media outlets, and we will put it up in a timeline on our website. But the conclusion of it all is Deloitte's examination of phone records, mobile communications, including texts and email data, has identified no evidence of improper behaviour by the SPFL personnel concerning the submission of Dundee's vote. And it goes on to say, I hope Scottish football now focus on the significant issues that face our game. Otherwise, many clubs may not survive this period. So, no impropriety. Roughie, what's your initial reaction?
Well, obviously she's very well educated and doing all these things. You've got to take her word for whatever she's looked into. She's obviously privy to more stuff than we are from the outside looking in. It now has called out Rangers. Rangers will now have to come out and make some kind of statement to back up what they were saying. So I don't think this is finished yet, but it's good to get a bit of clarity in the whole thing. And we all want to move on, but I'm sure Rangers will have a response to this statement.
Well, the upshot of it all, Barry, is I don't know what else you can do from this. Everything's been released. The data records have been checked. She has an outstanding reputation. I mean, I agree with Roughie. Something might be said by Rangers, but everything's been followed here. They've got an independent person from a company and a reputable company in Deloitte to investigate.
Well, Peter, the SPFL have done what what people asked. The people who questioned it. There was an independent investigation, as Roughie just mentioned. There, 23 years experience. So she's no new to this. So I think that's now the matter closed, and now we need to move on and care about what's going to happen with our game up here and try and sort the leagues out, whether it's reconstruction, and start going forward and stop all the bickering and just move on. As simple as that now.
Yeah, Tam, I'm sure you'd echo those sentiments, although do you get the feeling that it's not going to be over from Rangers or any other club?
No, I don't think it is, Peter. And to be honest, Rangers have took a battering here. In the PR stakes, they are on the verge of throwing the towel in. Rangers have been asking a lot of questions. For me, I'd start asking Rangers questions, 2 questions in particular. First one is, what evidence do they have for calling out for suspensions of Neil Doncaster and Rod McKenzie? And secondly, who's this phantom whistleblower? Who's the phantom whistleblower that there have been raised serious concerns around the SPFL processes? That's the 2 questions that I'd be asking Rangers now. I think the matter is closed in terms of the SPFL. They have played their hand. They've showed their hand. Rangers are still holding their hand, and I hope it's big, because I don't think they're going to trump the SPFL's statement today.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, Roughie, and in case they think that's bang out of order, there was a point before when there was a 3-man independent panel that Ali McCoy's called out and said, who are these people? Give me their names, you know. So I think it's only right and proper that someone does ask them, who was the whistleblower? You know, what evidence did you have? You know, if you've submitted it, the SPFL would surely have got a chance to look at it and digest it, but that doesn't seem to have been forthcoming.
No, you're right, Peter. And we all looked at an independent inquiry into that. It remains to be seen if Rangers are happy with who the independent inquiry was. I'm sure they'll find something. They can't back down on this. they'll look really stupid backing down if they don't have any evidence to back up what they were saying early on. So I think we'll just have to wait and see what comes out of this one.
Roughie,
Yeah,
Peter,
absolutely.
Deloitte are a $46 billion company. You know, as you said, reputable is to say the least. So it's not only the SPFL they're going to be taking on. If they're going to call into question their independent audit as well, then that's opening up an even bigger can of worms.
Yeah, my personal opinion, Roughie, is I think they should move on. And at the end of the day, I think, I know Neil Doncaster, and you know, people, he's like Marmite to some people, but he is basically a voice for the clubs. That's what he is. He's a figurehead for the clubs. The clubs decide their future. The clubs know what's going on behind the scenes. He is the man who basically represents the voice of the clubs. I know him, and I know he's a thorough guy, and he's certainly not one of those guys who would even allow himself to get into any impropriety whatsoever. And I've had dealings with him with contracts with the SPFL over the years, and he's not that type of person. I don't know Rod McKenzie, but I think he's the type of person that will come out with the SPFL, as they have done in this investigation here in the letter. Just move on. Move on now, and let's look at the other issues. I think that's the way ahead.
Yeah, I think we all think that. I mean, it's good to get the independent out there, you know, so everybody can have a look at it. And I don't think for a minute either Neil Doncaster, you know, had a slip in with a vote that he hid somewhere or never put out there. I don't think he's the kind of guy that would do that. I think they've openly admitted they could have done a lot of things properly. I just got a funny feeling Rangers will come back in with something like, "Oh, why did you tell the Aberdeen boy not to put a vote in?" Something like that. You know, wee things like that, just to sort of a hang on to. But Tam's right. You know, if you start shouting about whistleblowers, you really need to start telling people who these people are.
Yeah, I don't want to get bogged down with it on the show, and I'm not brushing anything under the carpet here. We've basically dealt with it. You know, the responses come out from the SPFL. You can give us your thoughts on it. We will read as many of them as we can out, but I don't want to get bogged down and make this all about Rangers, because I think there are two things this week that have happened that in the end will take it way out of what Rangers might respond to. One of them is the independent investigation, and the second one is basically what we're going to talk about a little later on, which is UEFA, the response from the SPFL with regards to calling the leagues. That's coming up shortly. Just one thing I want to talk about before we get to that. Barry and Budge has just basically informed the players that they are going to have to accept wage cuts, or they might not get paid next month. Now, she's actually staying true to her word on this. She's looked at the finances, and I think the players have got a big call to make now.
Yeah, but Peter, I think if she went about it, I mean, I've looked back on what she came out. I thought it was a bit hasty when she came out and spoke about it at first. But I think if it was done behind closed doors and you actually ask the players and tell the players the situation the club's in, I'm more than sure that the Hearts players would take a wage cut or defer their wages. I honestly, that's hand on heart. I think that's what the Hearts players would do. So I don't think there's going to be a problem with the Hearts players taking a wage cut or deferring it. It's just the way it came out at the start. It was a bit messy for me, the way she spoke. But look, it's not just Hearts, it's every single club, Peter, not just in Scotland. All over the world, every single player is having to take wage cuts. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it's happening just now.
Yeah, I think that point that Barry's picking up on there, Tam, is the fact that they were scouting, looking and thinking, who are we going to get for next year? I mean, whatever that came out, it was poor, wasn't it?
Barry spot on. From the very start on it, and Budge has been miles off it in terms of the wage cuts. You know, she dived in 2-footed too early. A couple of days after she made the statement about taking 50% wage cuts or invoking Article 12, the government introduced their furlough plan, which would have helped them massively, but she'd already played her hand. In terms of, she's contradicted herself so many times in the statements. There was a statement put out at the very start that she wanted players to take 50% wage cuts, and then a couple of weeks later, she denied that she'd ever asked anybody to take 50% wage cuts in another statement. So she's all over the place on this. Listen, I understand fully that clubs are in financial trouble, but I think 50% wage cut at the start was way too much. It was way too high. If you're talking 10, look at the clubs in England, Arsenal, 10, 15% You know, they're big clubs. You know, Hearts, 50% of these guys are not anywhere near as much money as them. So I think that was far too big a cut to start off with. 10%, 15%. I think the Hearts players would vote for that and go for it.
Well, funnily enough, and Tam, the great thing about this programme is I disagree with you. I think, if anything, it was a PR disaster. Picking up on what Barry's point was, it was a PR disaster when you suddenly get a situation where people within the club are starting to scout and look for players that could be off a list for next season. That was the first thing. But the second part of it, which I do think she was ahead of the curve on, was quite simply a discussion which goes on among players to say, look, I can see the impending disaster coming here. I know our finances. I know the predicament we're in. Here is the probability that's coming our way. You'll have to debate that. I think what happened then is suddenly, from trying to keep everything in-house, it leaks out. And then you get a situation where it suddenly becomes the PFA saying you should have discussed it with us first. So if anything, she's fallen foul of the protocol, Roughie, and maybe jumped the gun. But she knows her finances at Hearts better than anyone. There is no chance in the world she's thinking, I'm going to ask them for a 50% cut and not be aware of the fact that in the future they're going to be in trouble. They're not a club that's unbelievably flush. She was handing it over to the fans, but it's not a time to hand it over now.
No, it certainly is not. There'll be a lot of debate going on within the club itself. I think you have to say that anything she was doing was in the best interest of the club. She's got the facts and figures in front of her. I think I agree with Tam a wee bit. I think the bit where you said, well, if you don't sign by this thing, we're going to release you for your contract. I don't think that was the right threat early on. I think that could have been debated a wee bit more, obviously bringing the union in, which they did do, and then you can chat about it. But the bottom line is she's looked at the figures and she said, look, this club's going to be in trouble unless we do these things. And that's the way she's tried to act.
Yeah, Peter, I think you're right, Tam, on the basis of the horse that bolted, Barry.
Peter, I think if you ask Anne Budge, I think she would be honest enough and say she was a bit hasty at the start. She's made a couple of mistakes. As you says, I think if it was done privately behind closed doors and ask the players, I know Tam's saying 10, 15%, I think they need to do a bit more than that to try and save the club. I think privately, if it was done and said to the players in a straight manner, I think the players would accept it. But going back to Anne Budge, I do like her. I just think if you ask her open and honestly, I think she has been a bit hasty in what she done at the start.
Yeah, Paul Clemente has says, get rid of the PFA. Unions are so 80s. Well, there's somebody giving us their politics right away on this. I think the PFA in Scotland and the PFA in England do a lot of good work. There may be open to criticism for certain aspects north and south of the border, but I think, Tam, the PFA and the unions are not 80s, very much, something that I think a lot of players need. You've got your right not to be part of a union if you don't want to pay the subscriptions, but I do think they do a lot of good.
Listen, I think Barry's obviously played down in England. He'll tell you that the English PFA are very, very powerful. I had a little issue at Boston United. I went down on loan with Steve Evans, who was the Scottish manager. A little issue about a fine. And I phoned the PFA, English PFA, and it was sorted within 2 hours. And I've had a few dealings up here with similar things, clubs going bust or wage cuts or training with the kids or whatever up here. And I don't think it's the same level up here, the same level of power with the Scottish PFA. But in saying that, I think they've acted well in the Hearts players' favour in this, because I think Anne Budge was looking and pushing towards that article of binning some players. And I think the PFA up here have stepped in and really protected the players here, which I've got to give them credit for, because I was doubting in my mind that they were going to protect the players, but it seems that they have, Peter.
Yeah. Were you really hacked off when eventually Steve let you go 3 days later?
Steve Evans was an absolute a psychopath of a manager. He tried to fine me a week's wages for turning up late for treatment, and I have to pay him in cash. So I think that tells you all you've got to know about the man. He was an absolute bandit.
Okay, allegedly. So anyway, apart from anything else,
I think Peter,
Tam's brilliant, isn't he? Grenade.
Tam is right about the PFA down in England, but it's a different ball game down there in terms of finances. The money that they've got, and they are great down there. I had a couple of things that I had to sort out with the PFA down there, and they sorted it within 24 hours. Up here, I think Fraser's got a bit of an issue with in terms of bringing money in, Peter. So that's where I think where the PFA up here struggle a bit. So we need to all get one about the PFA. No, but they could do better, there's no doubt about that, but a lot of it comes down to finances up here.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now another little point here, and this is the response from UEFA's initial meeting on Tuesday and then on Thursday, when basically they... through this release, allowed the clubs, some FAs, to be able to call their leagues if they met certain criteria. Now, the joint response group on that UEFA announcement, the coronavirus outbreak is affecting leagues across Europe in many different ways, depending, amongst other things, on their financial position, their broadcasting deals, and the percentage of their club's income derived from gate receipts. In addition, the approach from individual governments varies according to the severity and timing of the lockdown and their success in dealing with the outbreak. There can be no one-size-fits-all solution to the challenges facing the 55 countries. UEFA's announcement acknowledges that different leagues will have to carefully consider their own unique circumstances before deciding how best to progress. Now, I know, Tam McManus, that Scott Brown, one of your old mates, has come out today speaking on Sky Sports, basically saying they want to finish the league. They want to try and chase the treble, and that's why they're, eager to get football played. It's not going to be played, and I think UEFA's comments now give the SPFL, if not next week, certainly I think by the end of May, the right to call the league.
Yeah, listen, we've been consistent from the start. All four of us, we all want the games to be played. I think every supporter wants the games to be played, but you've got to look at the bigger picture. You've got to look at people's health. There's no set date for coming back into the next season, never mind finishing this season. So, in my opinion, we should be looking at calling the league. A lot of clubs are in financial trouble. You call the league, positions stand as they are. Listen, it's not going to please Celtic. It's not going to please Rangers. You're not going to please everybody. Celtic would rather have won it on the park, the same as Barry would have rather won it in the park with Kelty, etc., Wraith Rovers, etc. It's not going to happen. You've just got to accept it. We've got to move on and look towards next season. And I think if we do that and we get a set date, then at least everybody knows where they stand.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you to everyone who's offered their opinions on many of the issues we've been discussing, as well as, talking about the bid for Barry's shirt. Thank you to all the lovely people out there who know their football. Incidentally, I always like to mention guys like David Lennox on Facebook. This station is not for you, David. You need to go to some other trolling site where you can actually just sit in the gutter with most of your pals. This is about football, this station. Certainly, we'll answer as many points as possible, but your points are not really for this station. So if you can, if you're a decent football person and you like talking about football, please post your messages. But as you can tell right now, thank God,
who's slagging?
Me or Tam?
No, he's not slagging you two. David is indicative of some people whose head is firmly in the gutter. And we always try and say this. Bigots and other people who want to talk about unsavoury stuff, this channel's not for you. We love our football. We want to talk about football, and we certainly don't want to deal with anything on YouTube and Facebook which upsets the 99% of decent people we have on here. The 1%, thank you, but no thanks. Now, here's something just before we hear from Rab Douglas, who's 48 today. It's his birthday. I must just say to you guys, Roughie, what were you doing 17 years ago this very day? Look at him looking up.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That is a tough one.
It was April 2003.
Obviously, back then playing football. I think we were on the radio doing the football show. Basically, that's what I was doing, I think. I can't think of anything else,
Yeah. Tam, 2003, this very day.
I would have been at Hibs probably. What time's it now? I'd probably been, I don't know, an establishment somewhere in Edinburgh. I need to be careful. My missus is listening
in. Brilliant. Barry, 2003. Where would you have been? Were you Rangers?
Yeah, I think we were trying to win a treble. I think that's what we were going for.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what you were going for.
He obviously hadn't took the money and went to Blackburn by then.
No, he was still
staunch and loyal.
He's still kissing the jersey.
Still staunch until the big bucks come in for big Soonest.
No way. No way would I ever kiss a badge. No way.
Just reeling him in, Tam. Anyway, apart from anything else, on this day, 17 years ago, I know exactly where I was. Quite a few people have mentioned it today. 17 years ago, I was in Portugal commentating on this one.
Sutton's made the move. Sutton flicking it into Larsson. Larsson, edge of the box, tries to play it into Hassan. Larsson's got a chance here. Larsson! Goal! Henrik Larsson scored! It's the goal Celtic wanted! They are 1-0 up! They've got the goal! His name is Henrik Larsson!
I don't know about you guys. That's how you, hey, Tam, that's how you describe it. That's how you describe a goal.
Oh my God! How excited Peter there! Wow!
Do you know the funny thing behind that goal? We'd gone to the press conference the day before, and Boa Vista's manager Jamie Pacheco had just said, Henrik Larsson, nothing special. What's he all about? It was as if he discarded, the real threat of the great Swede. And that's why I basically said his name is Henrik Larsson, just to remind him, Roughie, exactly who he was. And boy, it was a rotten game, but what a goal!
Yeah, it was a fantastic goal. Good build-up as well. These games, and even in all the games that Barry played in the lead up to the final, they were all edge of the seat stuff. And well done to all the guys, both teams in the both finals I got to.
Yeah, listen, sometimes you can tell how life treats people as life goes on and whether they still train and everything. Let's have a look at Big Rab Douglas. I caught him earlier on his birthday and look back at that game. Well, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by former Celtic and Scotland goalkeeper Rab Douglas. It's a special day, Rab. 48, your birthday today. How do you feel?
Just a baby, Peter. Thanks very much. I'm looking forward to an afternoon in the garden, put it that way, a couple of beers.
Yeah. What does a 48-year-old get for their birthday?
What can you get during lockdown? It's different. You'd be expecting to be having a weekend out, a wee party, but at the end of the day, a couple of beers in the garden. Garden's looking great now. I'm a black belt in gardening.
Yeah, everybody's trying to come up with something that they want to do. If it's any consolation, Roughie is out with a bow and arrow and putting an apple on the top of his wife's head. I'm not quite sure you'd get away with that.
I think that's a risky one for me, Peter.
Listen, you'll never believe this. I don't want to make you feel old, but 17 years ago, this very day, you were in Portugal trying to overturn that 1-1 and get Celtic through to the UEFA Cup final. What are your memories of that day?
I think it sticks out for me is going to Boa Vista and getting a clean sheet, first of all. That was enough to Henrik's goal. He's relying Henrik. But clean sheets at Blackburn and Liverpool and Boa Vista. So it was a great run. Unbelievable to think it was 17 years ago, certainly, Peter. But it's a great memories with the squad, etc. There's a great bond there.
I don't know about you, Rab, but I was commentating that day with myself and Davy Provan, and it was 80 minutes of absolute mince. It was tense. It wasn't a classic until Sutton and Henrik popped up.
Oh, listen, you're going to get games that aren't classics, but at the end of the day, you can always rely on Sutton, Henrik, or Big Johnny popping up with a goal. And the boys at the back did their job with a clean sheet, certainly. But to think it's that many years ago, and I think it was 20 odd games in the journey to Seville,
Yeah, very special. I mean, those boys have a bond that I don't think will ever be broken. Every time I see a whole waddy all together, there just seems to be a special camaraderie.
Yeah, I think you're right there. You might not see each other for 6 months or a year, and you're maybe back at Celtic Park at a charity game or an event, and it's always back. And as I say, a great bunch of boys, and there's that bond that is unique.
Strangely enough, I've been in the company of Neil Lennon, Stilian Petrov, and would you believe, even Henrik says to me, Johan Mjalby said that they find it difficult to watch the final. It's been a long time, if ever, for some of the players. Do you ever watch the final?
No, I've never watched it fully. Obviously, myself will get a bit of criticism in the goal. Bobo being sent off for me for the third goal, but the one thing that sticks in my mind is nobody was complaining we were getting clean sheets at Anfield or Blackburn. You know, we won as a team then. We probably just fell short in the final. We've got to remember Porto went on to win the Champions League, but probably in year Porto won the Champions League. I think if we'd won it, I think every player would have watched it and brought out DVDs. But as I say, we just fell short, and it was incredibly disappointing that night. In fact, heartbreaking. You know, the support, the journey getting there was unique as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not many teams can boast getting past the likes of Blackburn and Liverpool all the way to a UEFA Cup final. I think Stilian Petrov summed it up brilliantly. You know, the achievement, as you've just mentioned there, of getting to a final. Some people will never, ever sample playing in a European final in their lives. So for that alone, I think I always look at it as the glass is half full, Rob. How do you view it? Or is it still painful because, you know, you think to yourself, oh, I should have cemented that boy Derley and threw him right up into the air?
It's easy enough, you know. I thought Henrik was outstanding tonight. Didier did well. Probably, I made a couple of saves before half time. Porto could have been 3 up instead, you know. But it's easy. The goalie, you're the fall guy. Bobo's the fall guy for getting sent off. We're probably just a bit short. It's the one that got away. The losing, certainly. Again, the big achievement was getting. You'd say that at the start of the competition you were going to make the final. You know, nobody remembers runners to a certain degree, and that's a hard bit to take. But I think we all played our part in getting there. You know, over in Stuttgart, I think was one for me that if it went on in R5, we would have really struggled because we were under pressure. We conceded a goal, and Lenny, for some strange reason, took the kick off and passed it right back to me. So you can imagine, you know, it's just the bond's there. I mean, Lenny passed it back to me probably 45 yards, and I kicked it 46, maybe 47 at a push. But it was just we got through by any means, and we just fell short in the final, and that's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, listen, you should be tremendously proud of the achievement. There were many highs along the way. Is there one particular game throughout your career that sticks in your mind that you'll always cherish?
Probably for me, Liverpool away. Obviously, the one that before that was Men Against Boys, which inspired us. But the one at Liverpool, I grew up a Liverpool fan. King Kenny was my ultimate hero. Going to Liverpool and getting a clean sheet, and when John put the second one in, I'll always remember turning around and there was one guy in the cop with the hoops on and eye contact, and you know, I'm dancing about that box, making eye contact with this guy, and he's in the cop, and it's just one of these unique football memories, and it will stay with me forever. As I say, just massively disappointed that we never went on to win it.
Yeah, listen, just before you go, I think the hot topic that everybody's talking about is now Celtic could be declared champions. If it's not next week, it could be over the next month or two, because quite simply we just can't play football, Rab.
I can't see the closed doors one going ahead. I think Lenny and the boys at Celtic will be absolutely gutted at the moment because they've got a chance of doing an unprecedented quadruple treble. You know, it's there it's a great possibility of happening, and it looks like it'll be taken away. We've got to remember still dying in the UK, etc. So, football's not top of the priority list at the moment, and people's health are more important. And there'll come a point when we'll get back to fans coming through and watching their teams.
I was just about to say to you to finish off, Rab, remember, 48, it's not ideal having a birthday in lockdown, but when you go out in that back garden for the beers, everything in moderation, remember?
I think I'll have 1 or 12. I'm quite entitled to that at 48. It's good to come on to share it, but it's a different birthday. But as long as we get there and we get out and we get back to the football, that's the main thing.
Rab, happy birthday, and thank you very much for joining us. Top man, thank you.
Yes, Peter. Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, good man. Barry, he's very much in what I think you might view 2008 as well. Some people will never get to a European final. He should be very proud of his achievements.
Yeah, similar to what Big Rab said there, Peter. I've never watched back our game simply because I didn't have a great game and neither did the team. We kind of ran out of steam and look, the better team won. I'm not going to use any excuses. So it's similar to what Rab says, but look, Rab is a teammate at Scotland, fine goalkeeper, the big man. We still keep in contact through like a group chat when we play the sixes. So we were all on this morning wishing him a happy birthday. But the big man was a fine goalkeeper, that's for sure.
Barry, he never got anywhere near your free kick in the final, did he?
No, I keep remembering I gave him the eyes, Tam.
Aye.
Gave him the eyes. Never. You could have had 3 Rab Douglases in there, mate.
Aye. Of course, there's 2 things that stick in my head about 2003, Barry. You did actually go on to win the title. It was drama all the way. You actually won the title with Rangers that year. Celtic won nothing.
Yeah, they were down at Kilmarnock. It was a weird one. I think, was it Celtic won 3-0? Tomo missed a penalty, and that was it 4-0. Tomo missed a penalty as well down at Rugby Park, and we beat them Dunfermline 6-1. So that was on a knife edge that day as well. But that was another great day. It's when you listen to ex-players talk about things, sometimes you take it for granted, Peter. Sometimes you've got to sit down and realise what you've achieved and where you've played and what things you've like the UEFA final that you say is a European final. Unbelievable achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be great if we were talking about 2 wins, Celtic and Rangers winning in that final. Just wasn't to be a lot. It was amazing, Tam. It's got to be the only final in Seville where 80 million people travelled to Seville to watch the game.
The Seville calculator.
I wasn't one of them.
Yeah, I know. For Roughie, it was mental. Honestly, the Rangers fans were having some fun because it was, if it wasn't 60,000, it suddenly got to 1.2 million. Everybody was going to Seville.
Yeah, I think you had to be there to see it, Peter. I mean, it was just, I've never seen anything like that in my travels, even with Scotland. The whole place was just full of Celtic supporters, and I don't know about you, but from the game finished to get back to our hotel, it took us 3 hours walking back from the stadium to the hotel. Nobody with taxis available or anything, and the scenes of Celtic supporters just everywhere in that place was just absolutely amazing.
Via how many pubs was that, Roughie?
No, there was no pubs at all. I'm telling you. It was bedlam. Right. It was nothing.
It's the worst thing I've ever. It's the worst stadium, Tam. It's the worst stadium ever to get access to. I kid you not. We were literally with boxes of commentary equipment, and we managed to stop a Portuguese guy in his car going home, and he gave us a lift back into the town to the hotel, and then we got absolutely rat-arsed. But other than that, Tam, nothing. It was just unbelievable.
Peter, can I ask Barry a question?
Yeah, fire away.
Barry, you're talking about you won in Paris. You've also won in Paris before then. You remember when that was?
The PSG game.
I couldn't get to sleep last night. I was on YouTube and I watched the game. You won in penalty kicks.
Did you see PSG's team?
PSG's team was unbelievable. Ronaldinho, Anelka. Pochettino actually missed the penalty in the shoot.
Akocha, JJ. Aye.
Arteta.
Some team.
Remember that?
And you scored a good penalty.
Barry took one in sudden death. I couldn't remember if he'd missed or no, and I wonder if he's going to miss. He stood up, stuck it in the top corner. Sudden death. That's right.
It was a great penalty, Barry. It was a great penalty. Listen, just on that, we're talking about memories, and rather than constantly getting bogged down with the coronavirus and what it has, the implications for football, because a lot of people are commenting on that and enjoying basically all the memories that we are giving you and the interviews with the various guests. Can I just say something's just coming in? I don't know if you're aware of this, but every time we do this show, there's always a bit of breaking news. And this one is apparently the Eredivisie in Holland, the season has been cancelled and there'll be no champions. The Dutch league is the first of the major European leagues to be cancelled due to the coronavirus pandemic. Now, if that stands up, that will be an interesting one for everybody to debate, because they would have had to submit, Roughie, a document to UEFA explaining the reasons for calling it and why they're calling it in such a way.
Yeah, you already stated that at the beginning. For me, it wasn't Neil Doncaster that ended their season. It was Nicola Sturgeon the other day when she said that there would be no vaccine till possibly December or next year. She doesn't want crowds in games. So for me, that's the season finished. It's who you call what, I don't know how you get your head around that one, but certainly it's a surprise move for Holland to have no champions.
Yeah, interesting one. That will develop undoubtedly if that one stands up. We'll go back to that shortly. Yeah.
What about relegation? No relegation?
Nothing like that has been established yet. I don't know if they have the same predicament. I would imagine they will still have to obviously debate all the things we're debating in Scotland. This is the great thing about it, Barry. People think we are utterly unique here. We're not. This is the same problem lots of countries are facing with champions and relegation.
Yeah, but I like what UEFA have done. They've put it back to the SPFL, and now it's they've got to make a decision. I think every country has got to make their own decision on what they believe is the right decision. So I have no problems with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that story will develop. We'll undoubtedly talk about it in greater detail on Monday as well. We like a little bit of nostalgia. Sometimes it's sadness when we look back on certain days. We were talking about 2003 there, from 17 years ago. 6 years ago, Roughie, from my own personal point of view, because I was friendly with him, I had worked with him as a co-commentator, and certainly had many a good night out in his company. Sandy Jardine lived through in Edinburgh, and I lived through there as well. He passed away 6 years ago. I mean, it was just an absolute tragedy, the circumstances of his death, and I think he's greatly missed. He was a great ambassador for Rangers and for Scottish football.
Yeah, at the present day, we all talk about, obviously, Robertson and Kieran Tierney. Certainly in my era with Danny McGrain and Sandy Jardine. I would have the two of them up with both of these two that I mentioned. Absolutely fantastic footballers. And, both of them, you used to get the impression they had no sense of humour, but they certainly did. Danny and particularly Sandy had a very, very good sense of humour. And wonderful players. And to play on to the level that he played was absolutely superb. An absolute gentleman.
And Barry, you would have had first-hand experience of Sandy as well.
Yep, Sandy was about Rangers all the time. He used to help whoever signed with the club. He would go and help them look for houses and cars, etc., etc. But I've seen plenty of videos back, and obviously my old man speaks highly of him. He was an unbelievable player, and he was great round about the club. And he was one, Peter, you could always go and ask him any advice he would give you. Like him and John Gregg were always about the club. So two unbelievable players and two legends in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right to point it out, Roughie. His patter was magnificent. I loved it. A real dry sense of humour. Always liked to noise up as well. And the other good thing that you like about it, Barry, if I entered Ibrox at any point with anything green on, he gave me absolute pelters, by the way. I was not allowed to go anywhere near him with green on. He absolutely battered me for it.
Yeah, that's the rules, Peter. You should know that.
Just really never about that t-shirt he's got on the day.
Right. I knew you were going to give me pelters. You didn't give me pelters when I was wearing blue the other day, there, did you? No, this is my mate. Is Robert. He comes from our village, brought up, as you know, people in Lanarkshire, probably the most talented people in the entire world. If you weren't born in this area, then you've just missed out. And Robert Chambers is a great guy. He's got his own shop in King Street, Barry. It's called Social Recluse, and he's got some great T-shirts. This one is the Verve Lucky Man, and there's some great T-shirts. I just thought you and Tam might want to get in there. Roughie as well, if you want to get in, Roughie. And
Larson 7 on the back.
Aye. Yeah, absolutely. It's probably that.
That's the wrong colours for Barry.
He's no, but he does. To be fair, by the way, he does some great.
If he does staunch, he's Barry's in.
Oh, listen, he does those T-shirts as well.
No, it's smart. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. I think it's quite smart.
He does the Stone Roses in red, white, and blue gutties as well. Do you call them gutties, Barry, or sannies, or whatever?
A pair of gutties. I would go with gutties.
Yeah. Tam, what are you, a gutties man?
Sannies.
Sannies, okay. Training shoes. And Roughie, another thing is, if you go in, Roughie, he's got these old training shoes with the Bachelors and their greatest hits as well on it. So you'll be able to get in there and get that.
And anyway, Freddie and the Dreamers.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got all that as well. They're in purple and pink. Now, thanks very much to Terence Duke. Alec Kelly as well. He says, trainers, well done to you. Lots of people giving us messages. I'll just give you an update, incidentally, coming up from, it's on the Daily Mail has just released a little bit of insight into this. The Holland's top flight title will be left vacant with the season scrapped due to the disruption caused by the coronavirus. Both Ajax and AZ Alkmaar were level on points at the top of the Eredivisie. Now, this is why neither will be crowned champions. Promotion and relegation has also been axed, with Camber, who were 11 points clear at the top of the second tier, sensationally missing out on promotion. So there's no relegation. But you can understand, Tam, those two clubs will represent the Netherlands in European competition next year. There'll just be no title winners because I think their position is unique.
Listen, it's totally different from here. As Barry was saying earlier, you've got to judge every individual, case. Both of them are level in points. Why would you give one of them a title? Celtic are 13 points ahead, and basically the title's been tied up. Obviously not mathematically, but listen, they were going to go ahead and win the league. So I don't think we can go and copy Holland because the league was tight at both ends.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't want to forget, by the way, here is PLZ Soccer's tribute to the late great Sandy Jardine. Another great thing about him, Barry, he won the Player of the Year at 37 years of age when he was at Hearts. When he was at Hearts at 37.
I know, I remember you saying that a few months back. Unbelievable. I didn't know that he managed Hearts, Peter. I thought he was assistant manager at Alex McDonald. I'm surprised at that.
Yeah, it's a joint manager. I think the two of them really had that. Yeah, dual roles in it. But, what a great player. Good manager. Had a good team at Hearts at the time as well, full of great players. Listen, a couple of things to do before we finish. I'm going to mention so many people here. Stephen Gallagher, Joe Baggio as well, who says R.I.P. Sandy. Well done, Joe. Nice touch, just putting that message over. Mitch McEwen as well. And over and above that, Lindsay has also posted a nice message about Sandy Jardine. Jerry Black, Ronnie Blythe, Paul Malone, James Marshall, Tommy Adams, Mary McCord. Lots of people who join us on Facebook Live and on YouTube as well. Thoroughly decent people who love their football. So thank you to all of you. And 369 says, Sandy was an icon at Hearts, R.I.P. Well done. And Stephen McDowell says, Peter, I have the very same T-shirt you have on in black. So there you are, Barry. It comes in different colours. That's all I'm saying to you. So get in there.
Listen, I like it. I'm a fan of it.
I can see you wearing that down the pub, Barry, with your mates.
No, either black or blue it's got to be.
Yeah. Listen, I'll tell you right now, the kid, the blue ones that he's got with the red, white and blue trainers, you'll really like them, by the way. Listen, we're down to four defenders. I'm being serious. I'm down to 4 defenders and 4 foreign defenders. Remember we had that poll? We're going to pick a definitive 11 next week. So now we've got it down to, and by the way, just out of curiosity, I might as well leather you while you're here. The reason Frank Soze wasn't picked is because I think he played something like 20 games at the start of 2000. This is defenders from 2000 to 2020.
I don't care. He played one game, it was the best. It was the top 10.
Yeah.
Absolute disgrace of a vote.
You pandering to the hibbies, getting them on side because you're going out for a night out when you get out of lockdown. Roughie, this is why.
Is there any goalkeepers in this team?
Yeah, that's next week. Monday we're doing goalkeepers, Roughie. But we're only running that. We're only running that to Tuesday because many people will get bored talking about goalkeepers. So here's the Scottish defender. Okay, give us your top man there, Barry, because this has just been voted for by fans and followers on Facebook and Twitter as well.
Well, I tell you what, the 4 players they were special players. I'll go on with Alan Hutton, Peter. See the 6 months before he left to go to Tottenham. That is the best I've seen a fullback play. I don't know if you remember it, the 6 months before Tottenham signed him for £9 million. The guy was in. Honestly, I don't know what happened over the summer. He come back in pre-season and he was just a machine. But
what's he like as a person? Is he a good lad?
Yeah, no, do you know what? Yeah, he's shy, Huts.
Yeah.
A lot of people maybe say, he's arrogant, but no, he's not. He's pretty shy. He keeps himself to himself, but phenomenal player. That 6 month, Peter, I have never seen a difference in a player in all my days. He was just incredible. And no wonder Tottenham paid £9 million for him.
Yeah, Roughie, we were talking about Alan Hutton there. I know you were looking out to see if the pheasant were in the garden there and everything. So is your garden okay, Roughie? Are we keeping you too long?
Pheasant's gone. Pheasant's dead. Pheasant's on.
It's in the fridge.
It's gone. It's Sunday pheasant. It's Sunday pheasant.
And can I just say to all the pheasant lovers out there, it's not gone. He's only winding up, by the way.
A tin of paint thrown at him.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh no, well done, Tam. Here are the 4 foreign defenders. So is Soze beating any of them, Tam?
Aye, maybe.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Big Bobo. I'd seen Big Bobo there, and I came out the sweat again, as you know. had a few dealings with Big Bobo. Oh,
yeah,
he was a fearsome character. But I think there's only one winner there. Big Virgil van Dijk, is there not? Big Virgil's got to be head and shoulders there.
Yeah, Roughie, Virgil, get your vote.
Yeah, he's got my vote by a distant. I said Craig Moore was a wonderful player as well, but for me, Van Dijk head and shoulders above them all.
I don't think Big O's get enough credit, Peter. I'll be honest with you. I'm not just saying it because he's my mate, but see, he's a defender. Nobody get past him, and I think if you ask Kenrick Larsson,
loads of times.
do you know what?
Hard play.
Hard as nails. Yeah. And do you know what? Never done anything. Try to do anything special. Kept everything simple. But defensively, absolutely unbelievable. But as Tam says, Van Dijk's he's in a different level.
There's always a moment. I don't know if you guys agree with this with certain players. There's always a moment when you think to yourself, I think he's going on a bus and he's leaving Scottish football. And it was when he danced past about 7 St Johnstone players and put the ball in the back of the net, Tam, I thought, his days are numbered. He's on his way.
Mm-hmm. Listen, he was always top class for me. It was amazing that Celtic used to play under Ronnie Dyler, just played him at the back, 1v1 against the striker. All the time, we just pushed all the rest of the defenders on. They had so much confidence in him, in pace, his power. I just don't see how you could get past him. You know, you couldn't out-muscle him, you couldn't out-pace him. You know, he was skillful. He just had everything. He must have been a nightmare to play against.
Have you seen him after games doing an interview? He never looks as if he breaks sweat, the guy.
Yeah.
He looks perfect.
Who was Pierre, who was the Rangers player that centre-half that looked like Van Dijk, but he went down to England and did nothing? Up here, he was absolutely immense. Absolutely immense, and he went down to England and did nothing.
Jean-Alain Boumsong joined Newcastle.
Yeah. I thought he was...
He was okay. Yeah,
he's a similar type. Something not as good, but he was similar. He was big. He was plenty of pace, power.
He struggled at Newcastle. He struggled.
Yeah, absolutely. Big Virgil, you're right. Looked as cool as ice, and I love Tam's great insight there. Ronnie Dyler used to just leave him on his own at the back. Yep, that was another one of Ronnie's visionary formations. right, Virgil. You just stay 1-on-4 at the back and see if the other 9 can drag this team out of this. Anyway, apart from anything else, before we go, I'm going to give lots of people mention: John McLean, Matthew Lingard, Stephen McDowell, Jet Ski Mafia. I'm not quite sure what that one's all about. John McLean, Dean Leslie, Tortmada, lots of people, Stephen Cannon and Stephen King as well, Spooky on the YouTube. And as far as the Facebook is concerned, thanks to David Ormond, Don Clark, as well as Tommy Frewster, Gary McGurn, Niall Kane, and so many others. James Marshall comes up with a great phrase, which Tam has heard on more than a few occasions: Boba's gonna get you. And I think that summed it up, because when he had you in his sights, did you play against him, Barry?
Yeah, I played against him a few times. Yep.
Yeah. Were you scared of him?
Fearsome big guy. Scared of him? No, come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was shit scared of him. I'll be honest.
Absolutely.
I was terrified.
Yeah, I know, but that's because you're spineless.
Anyway. Yeah, seemingly off the part, it was a big gentle giant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wasn't he?
Yeah.
It was fantastic for the year up in the stand when they get 28 grand a week.
Aye.
Yeah, good of you to remember that, Roughie. Everybody's talking about his football prowess and you remember the finances. Anyway, apart from anything else, just before we go, I don't know if you're involved in this, Tam, and I don't know if we're going to let you be involved in it, but way back when we actually started off the season, we had a predictor, me, Barry and Roughie, and the loser would take the other 2 out for a meal to the restaurant of their choice, the food, everything paid for, the most expensive bottle of wine on the menu. That's it. And all you had to do was predict the games every week. And it got a bit boring at one point, Tam, because for the 7th year out of 8, I was so far ahead. It was incredible. But Roughie and Barry had a real ding-dong battle. And you didn't know which way it was going to go. Roughie eventually managed to get to second place. Barry would have actually finished in second place had John Nelms posted some of his predictions that Barry had made, but we lost that email. I don't know where that ended up, and Barry lost some crucial points. But nevertheless, here's the final scores. Well, here's the final scores, guys. No, the league's been declared. Shut it.
Right.
Here's the final. Oh, yes! Yes! Roughie, you've lost again this year.
How have I lost?
I won.
Oh, I don't mean I'm I'm okay, self-preservation. I'm in the middle. It's not hitting me at all. But Barry, I'd wait and Neil Doncaster making a decision on this.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. Going for a couple
to be fair, you're behind the times here, Roughie, because I've just looked and Barry has just released a press statement calling for a full investigation, and he wants to know the names.
And I want an independent investigation. I want.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, Tam, would you like to come along to the meal? It's a great night out.
Oh, Barry's pine. Oh, I've got a nice big steak and all that, and nice expensive wine. If it was Roughie, it would have been buckfast and a set meal.
Tam, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome, mate.
Yeah, man.
Yes. Brilliant. All we need to do is find a restaurant that's open. It's as simple as that, because it's the longest lock-in of all time. Listen, the one thing I would say, and I'm sure I echo the sentiments of everyone here, 2 quick points, and it's basically thank you to everyone who bid. Even if you bid £10, £100 for Barry's shirt, I'm sure I speak for everyone, Barry. Every bid was gratefully received, and of course, there can only be one winner.
Yeah, grateful for everybody who bid, and a massive, massive thanks to, is it Brian?
Brian, yes.
Brian, for 25,000. Incredible amount of money. It's certainly at this time. And as I said, Peter, it's going to a fantastic cause. I'm like everybody, been watching the TV, and what the NHS workers are doing is sensational.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the other sentiments that I think we've got to stress at this point is stay safe, stay indoors, stay away from the bleach. That's all I'm telling you right now. And over and above that, if you are at any point experiencing difficulties, speak to someone. There's always someone out there who can share a problem with you. I think that's what we would like to emphasise. Mental health is a serious issue, and especially in a lockdown scenario. So from everyone at PLZ Soccer, drop us a line. We can always help steer you in the right direction. And for everyone else out there, stay safe. Have a great weekend. Follow the guidelines that Roughie has set out, which is quite simply everything in moderation. Don't drink too much. Simple as that. Baz, Tam, and of course, Roughie, have a great weekend, guys. I'll see you on Monday.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.